Yeah, I'll melt copper and bismuth together. Here's some pennies, and here's some bismuth. But I have to heat the pennies up first. You gotta love that flame. When the pennies got red hot, I threw the bismuth crystals on there and they melted like butter on a frying pan. I also threw some tin on there to give the metal a bronze quality. When everything had melted together, including the pennies, I poured the bright orange alloy into an ingot mold and let it cool. This was a great suggestion because bismuth and copper mix really well together. Check out that beautiful golden alloy.
There once was a ship that put to sea, and the name of the ship was the Billy O.T. The winds blew harder about it down below, my bully boys blow. Come and come, bring us to plenty along. And the tide is done, you take or leave and go. We got into shore down on her right well bore. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take that whale in tea. And come, bring us to plenty along. And the tide is done, you take or leave and go. We do with a drunken sailor, we do with a drunken sailor, we do with a drunken sailor on board. Run in the book until he see it, run in the book until he see it, run in the book until he's somewhere on board. It was foul and the sea ran high. Lever, jolly lever, she's green and unwed by, and it's time for us to leave her. Jolly lever, is a jolly lever, so the wedges and we can see. It's time for us to leave her. Sail
I earn anywhere from $200 to $500 extra per week simply by recycling scrap metals. These buckets of old copper pipe and brass fittings paid for my family's Christmas vacation last year. Copper pipe and brass fittings in its current state is worth anywhere from $5 to $12 per kilo. You're probably thinking that doesn't sound like much, but trust me, one bucket full of copper and brass could easily net you $250 plus. I invested a year's worth of scrap collection on a $500 melting furnace and bought a heap of moulds and have been making brass and copper bullion all year round. A lot of time and effort goes into making these bars, and I've been charging accordingly. Finished bars with a mirror finish sell from $60 a kilogram, depending on size and material type. Each bar is etched with its own unique number and the shiny metal bar's logo. I can even add your name or someone else's if you like. Hit the like button and follow for more scrapping and melting excellence. Let's melt some zinc pennies. Well, not those. Let's melt these corroded ones. Zinc corrodes very easily, and these pennies are just plain nasty. Let's add them to the crucible and fire up the furnace. Zinc has a relatively low melting point, and it shouldn't take long for these to melt. I also need to heat the mold to reduce thermal shock and to prevent defects in the casting. After about 10 minutes, the pennies have melted. You have to be careful melting anything with zinc in it because when zinc comes into contact with oxygen, it forms zinc oxide, this yellow-green stuff you see here. Inhaling zinc oxide can make you sick. Now it's time to pour. I didn't add borax because there wasn't a lot of extra metal in there, and the zinc pours out nicely. I put the crucible back in the furnace to stop the zinc oxide from forming. If you try this at home, be sure to tap the side of the mold to make sure the metal has cooled before you try to remove it. It can take about 10 or 15 minutes. I overfilled the mold, so it was a little tough getting the bar out. Let's drop it in some water to cool off. Give it a little polishing, and of course we've got to add the Southern Metal stamp. And here's our finished bar of zinc. I think it turned out pretty good. Let's weigh it. It weighs about 453 grams and almost exactly 1 pound. And the stamp looks pretty good.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click like and follow us for more videos. And you can find us on YouTube. Our channel link is in our bio.
Alright, cool. Man's got one copper cup there and some molds in it. And we're going to melt down the cup and pour it in the molds and that. So first, we need some specialized scientific equipment to crush down the cup in it. You done know, fam. And after that, we're just going to chop it up a little bit and then slap it into the furnace and that, fam. So obviously, we've got the little water pump to keep the machine cool and that. Then we're going to bust on the power and that. You done know, fam. So obviously, copper melts at 1085 degrees Celsius. That's hotter than lava and that, innit? And if you leave copper outside in the elements, yeah, it actually turns green and that. That's why the Statue of Liberty is green, because it reacts with the oxygen and carbon dioxide in the air and it forms copper carbonate and copper hydroxide and that, innit? It's a mad thing, cuzzy. So obviously now, yeah, we're going to pour it into the molds and that, you know what I'm saying? Orange settings, brothers. Bare hot and that, fam. Obviously, it looks bare black and that, car. When you heat up copper, it reacts with oxygen to form a black copper oxide layer on the surface, innit? You done know, fam. To stop the copper oxide layer from forming, you can sprinkle a little bit of carbon or borax in there when you're melting, innit? So obviously now, we're going to cool it down in a little bit of water and that, sizzling up, fam. You done know. Then obviously, after that, man had to wash it in some acid to get rid of the black copper oxide layer and that, innit? Then we got the shiny copper things there, fam. You done know, man. We out here, fam.
I had a buttload of copper scrap, and I wanted to melt this stuff in my Devil Forge so I could make some pure copper ingots. So I loaded up my crucible and lit up the furnace. The Devil Forge gets up over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit as I feed more and more copper into the crucible and it melts into a liquid pool. I pulled the molten copper out of the furnace and poured it into these ingot molds. I love the unique color and shimmer of molten copper, and as I poured the liquid metal into the shape of a bar, I could actually feel the heat of it radiating off the metal into my hands. It didn't take long for the liquid copper to solidify in these ingot molds, and after I had solid bars, they were still super hot. I extracted the bars, and then watch what I did next. I put them on ice, and it's interesting to see these very, very hot metal bars cool so quickly in the ice. Within just a few seconds, the metal that had been well over 1,000 degrees cooled and lost its heat to the ice. At the end of the project, I weighed the copper and I had over 30 pounds of it.
Well, I finally got my borax today, so I can melt some copper. This is going to be my first attempt to pour and make a brick of copper. I'd like to thank all my neighbors for supplying all the copper, and if you have something electrical that doesn't work, please call an electrician. So let's fire this up and see what I was just kidding with the explosion. From start to finish, it took about an hour and a half to pour brick. I'll show you what it looks like. Here's what it looks like. It's not pretty. I just weighed it and it's 3.75 pounds. I don't think I skimmed enough off of it before I poured it to get the impurities out, but not bad.
This pile of old cable? Worth more than you think. I stripped the insulation off old copper wiring, stuff people throw away, toss it in the furnace, and watch it melt down into a solid ingot. No fancy setup, just raw copper, extreme heat, and patience. By the time it pours out, that scrap has gone from trash to pure metal. And copper is sitting at over €8 a kilo right now. And this bar will sell for way more. Follow for more. This is just the beginning. Watch me turn scrap into a real business.
If you're thinking about melting copper for money, watch this first. I'm going to save you time, money, and a ruined batch. Number 1, not all copper is equal. Granulate from clean cable is worth more than mixed scrap. Know what you're melting before it goes in the furnace. Number 2, contamination kills your bar. Any plastic, rubber, or insulation left in your granulate will ruin the pour. Clean input equals clean output. Number 3, copper price moves. Check the spot price before you sell. A few days can be the difference between a good deal and leaving money on the table. Save this video. You'll want to come back to it when you start your first batch. And follow along. I'm building this business from scratch and sharing everything I learn.